It's 1 minute until open. Do you know where your futures are? Welcome to Time. I'm joined by Hogue and Trades by Matt. Matt, welcome again. Great to have you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us, Matt.
Yeah. Okay.
We're looking forward to name some other trades.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we are about 20 seconds to the open. I'm probably going to take the opening range trade.
I was going to ask you if you were doing that. Last time I talked, you said you were going to commit to it for a few days.
I did, and it was profitable. Yesterday, because we opened in range and in value, much like we're doing today, I didn't do it, and it turned out to be one of the best the best trade location of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take the risk and see what happens today, as long as it's not too much. We got a $2 2-point opening range here so far, so nothing tremendous.
The tilt's got the NAS at 74%. That's kind of crazy. I haven't seen it that high this early before.
Yeah, this early maybe. It gets over 80% occasionally, but that's pretty big.
Yeah, that's a lot of longs there, huh?
Yeah, seriously.
Interesting. So
I like to sit around for the first 10, 15 minutes and let everything get kind of shaken up.
And normally that's something that I do. When I first started looking at the profiles,
yeah,
the first half hour was always just too choppy, too freaky for me.
Right. I tried a little overnight short that I got stopped out break even. That would have been real nice. At 611.
Where'd you get short from, Hogue?
Hang on 1 second. Let me get my stop in here. 53.5. Okay, we are short at 48.50. Sorry.
All right. As a reminder, that opening range trade, Hogue uses the first minute and then sets the stop a few ticks beyond the other side of that opening range, and then tries to let it go.
Yeah. So on this platform, this gold bar is the first minute. So we put the stop in just 1 tick below the opening range. My stop is currently at 43.5. So that gives me a little bit of space to take out the stops above the opening range if we get there. If you remember last week, there was a trade that I took. It was a long. The market took out the low of the opening range by about three ticks after it got us long. We stayed in, and that ended up being a pretty decent trade. So we're going to see how this plays out for us. And, most of the time when the market is in range and inside of value, I'm going to try and stay patient, which cost us yesterday. Opening range was the dead ass low yesterday. We didn't take it. We should have. I mean, look at the profit on that. What was the range from yesterday? 56.5 points. So we probably could have, if we got out at the high, we probably could have gotten 40 points off of that. If we got out at the high.
Strong F there, Hogue.
Yes, you got to stay in that sucker all day long. All day long. Now, I'm not real confident in this because again, we're in the opening range. We're in range. We're in value. We've got overnight inventory that's pretty heavily to the short side.
Yeah.
If we don't see sellers come in pretty quick here, those overnight shorts are probably going to bail pretty quickly.
Yeah. On the NAS, watching it, for me, it's like every time we have like you said, inventory to the short side, I kind of always look for an initial pop. And then today we got volume put in at the 80s. And I kind of talked about it last time, but I love 80s and the 20s as rotational numbers.
Right.
And so all that volume in at 80 and just kind of the number itself, kind of decent for a little pop.
It took us right down to it, right?
Right. 80.25 ticks out, and then all that volume comes through.
Now, Matt, are you mostly trading NASDAQ or exclusively? Or
yeah, I would say I'm like 90%. I recently reworked myself back into the world of crude oil.
Okay.
I used to only trade crude, and then I rotated to the NAS like 4 years ago. And then I recently kind of started dabbling again.
Well,
what do you think? What do you think in crude?
I haven't really looked at it too much today. It looks pretty choppy so far. So I don't really think too much on it.
I
Kinda
can
waiting for
hear
us to pop
D.
out of 78.
I can hear D saying, you know what? We looked inside value from yesterday and rejected. I feel like she's looking for shorts, maybe a gap close from Friday to Monday's range.
Yeah, I mean, I like the value area low from yesterday rejection, 77.60. That's a pretty solid short typically, but we'll see. My way of trading crude is that whenever the NAS is not having price action that I love, I go trade crude, and then vice versa. So
There you go.
well, it's kind of not die hard on either one right now.
Yeah, I hope you can stick with the NASDAQ today because we need you with MP at Legoland. We
Right.
need someone to trade what 90% of our traders are trading.
Right. The NAS is just good. It's like really good for scalping, in my opinion, which is what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, more action.
Yeah.
Boy, you're right, man. It went right down to that 80.
Yeah. So now we look for now I would be looking for like 20 upside and then see what happens from there. Assuming we could pop the opening range high, but at 80 level with all that volume in there, it's too early for me to really feel comfortable wanting to take that trade, especially kind of after being out for a few days.
Right.
Out of town. I just don't love doing that right away, but it's a nice solid trade. Like if that was the same thing that happened, in 20 minutes, I would probably want to take it.
You were at the F1 race, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. When there's a lull, we got to dive into that. I have lots of questions.
Yeah. I mean, the media was all over the place, both positive and negative. So I'll definitely give my insight on it.
Did you get any interviews?
No interviews, no. But people were definitely polarized on whether or not they like it or not.
That's Vegas in general, I think.
Right. Okay, let's see if we can pop it.
We still inside. Well, still haven't taken out the high of the opening range in the NASDAQ.
Right.
That move to 20 would be a nice little stop run above the opening range.
Yeah. Yeah, that like 20 to like, what is that, 26 or 27 or something like that would be pretty interesting in my opinion. We're just sitting on volume here.
Yeah, we've got some pretty negative delta here in the S&Ps, negative 2,400 in the regular trading hour session already. Not really that successful pushing it to the downside here.
Yeah.
Yet.
Negative. Last time I was on, you said that you had an example of gold, I think, potentially for for delta.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that later too. I've been
for sure
thinking about it for the last week.
Yeah, for sure. I got to dig it up here, but I will certainly be happy to show you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll find it here. I don't want to go digging too much right here. So here we are. We're still hanging at the low. We're right at our entry, 48.50. Got to take out this point of control from yesterday.
Yeah, sitting right at it, huh? Almost.
Yeah, went right down to it on the before the open. I'd like to see us take out that overnight low, take out that point of control, and hold below that.
Yeah,
this is riveting.
I'm using the if you'll forgive me, I'm using the Andre indicator. Andre said, well, I guess we better start looking for longs yesterday, which now we're looking for shorts. So we took out that volume profile here on this platform. We stopped a tick from it on my T4, the volume point of control. But we're hanging here.
Friday's high could be an interesting spot to kind of go back into. I think it's Friday, Monday, Friday. Yeah, Friday's high.
Right here.
940s.
940s.
Ish.
Let's check it out on the NASDAQ here.
Assuming we actually get the flush. I don't know. I'm not sold on flushes personally on the NAS right now.
940. There you go. Yeah. That's really kind of where that initial push up yesterday, leaving the opening range at the low of the day, that was the kind of pullback. The early pullback was down to that 940 level. I like that level.
Yeah.
Here we go. Just about the high of the opening range. S&P, no. Took it out by
76% long right now.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I believe it. If it's cheap on the chart in the short term, I think there's a lot of people who are looking to just buy it.
The S&Ps are pretty much even, 54% long in the S&Ps. NASDAQ, a lot of longs in there.
76. It's crazy.
We just got up to your 20 level.
Yep. That's a full 80 to 20 rotation. So that's kind of that's the move that I love, and I try and bring up when I bring it up often just because it happens so frequently. But
is there a name for that?
I call it the magical 80s and 20s. I don't know. I don't have a good name. We need to come up with a good name. Chat, this is the time.
Yeah,
put your input in.
Give us the 80-20 names.
Yeah, the 80-20 rotation. I just call it the magical 80s and 20s because that's what I like kind of figured it out with my stream years and years ago, and that's what we had talked about. But we need a new one. But it's good for 40 points when it's around, around the.
It certainly was there.
I would like for us to sweep it, honestly, though. I don't like a hard rejection on it, just like we just had. I kind of want us to sweep it, maybe, especially with the tilt being the way it is. I would love to see like a kind of a push into 30.
And then
that little
back
micro swing low on the 5-minute chart, like 31, pushing to 31 with the tilt being at 76 to 80 would be an interesting short for me, especially if we had a delta divergence on the 22 range. That would be what the ligma that everybody talks about.
Yes.
That's kind of how I like to piece everything together in my mind, is like, okay, I have like 4 different things that kind of all come together with some like common sense price action and try and execute off of it.
Right.
Unfortunately, it just takes a while for things to come together a lot of times. But
yeah. So if you do have questions about what the tilt is, you got that little slide up there kind of explaining what it is. But it's a real-time snapshot of all of the traders in the trading combine and the XFA accounts, their aggregate position. If the aggregate position is long 80% of those with a position in that product are long, 20% are short. Can give you a really kind of an overall snapshot again of what the retail traders are thinking, what they're doing in our time frame. And these are people that want to perform. It's not just random practice accounts. These are people that have a desire to perform well. So it gives it even more importance.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the key, because people have talked about like, oh, well, there's probably just people YOLOing or whatever. But like, you take into the fact that like people are trading their XFAs on here. They're wanting to make money.
100%. Yeah. Even the trading combine folks, they want to get to those XFA and funded accounts.
All right.
Matt, what indicators are you using on your 22 chart?
22 range. So I'm using cumulative delta down here, which I don't know. I always have to pull it up on this stream. Cumulative delta down here. And then I got a volume histogram on the right side, just so I can kind of see volume by price levels. I have labels on kind of what I find important. So initial balance, yesterday's volume profile, and then overnight highs and lows. And then my little my lines here, it's a VWAP with 1, 2, and 3 standard deviations behind. So plus and minus. So 1 standard deviation off VWAP, 2 and 3. I guess I have 2.5 in here too. But nice. The standard deviations I have them up pretty much purely for like super trend days. I don't use them a whole lot unless we are massively trendy. So like they've been nice the last couple of weeks. Because when we are just in straight up rip mode, like you'll find, we're bouncing between the 2 and the 2.5 or whatever it is. Like 2 and 2.5 is very common for super rippy trend days. I have zero importance for them when we're just kind of going sideways like we're at right now. Just to be perfectly honest. Most of my charting on this chart is me watching where we're at with volume from like a standpoint of like either points of interest or support and resistance, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And then with delta.
Now, is that volume histogram? Does that include the overnight session?
It does, yeah. So all of my volume histograms include the overnight session, and then my labels for value area are just the open. So the 8:30 open is my value area labels, and then my histogram of volume is from the 5 o'clock open through the day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the reason I have the overnight volume in there, and I don't know, maybe I've just done it that way for forever, so maybe there's a reasoning to not do it, but a lot of like positioning does happen in the overnight, in my opinion, or I've seen it enough times to where I do kind of care about it, but I don't know if it's best to do that or to not. So if y'all have any input on that, let me know. But
if it works for you, it works.
Right. I'm always open to experimentation though, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I just said in the weekly kickoff email, I don't discount any tool, time frame, indicator, anything anybody's using. I mean, if it's in the right hands and you do things right, you're gonna be fine.
I agree. Yeah, so that's my 22 range. My 1 minute chart. I watch a 30-minute chart up here just so I can kind of see like general big picture what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
My 1 minute chart is my initial balance chart, which is what's providing the labels everywhere else. So first hour of the day, first hour high and low is initial balance high and initial balance low.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see after that hour, it typically will act as a nice support or resistance, which is why I keep it on there. These little colors on the right side of the 1 minute chart are it's just a visualization of the DOM. So it's liquidity. It's the
understood. Yep, got it.
Orders on the books.
Yep.
So that can get kind of confusing when people are watching because
it's almost like
volume everywhere else, but it's so it's different. And then I watch the DOM a lot. So
you might have to pop your headshot back up there in the top right. It's looking a little blank again.
I forgot. I was talking about that last time too. I have this like this spot just open. It's so natural for me to look at. I don't even notice it up there, but
yeah. So for those asking where MP is, I believe that he is at Legoland.
Yep.
Which is a thing apparently.
Yeah, and we have Michelle in the seat that Danielle normally sits in. Michelle, thank you very much for being here and helping out with us.
Happy Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, right.
I'm getting some traveling going.
Yeah. Matt, what are you thankful for?
My kiddos. I got this year we welcomed my second baby girl.
Nice.
She's 7 months old. So
awesome.
that's what I'm thankful for this year, or super thankful for. I got 2.5-year-old also, so it's a full party here.
There you go. You're in zone defense now.
Yeah, I am absolutely. But definitely fun with them around, and I'm glad that they are around. Thankful for it.
Asking for a friend, what is the work difference between 2 kids and 1 kid?
Okay, I think it is
the multiple.
Right, and I can't speak to it past the 7th-month-old. Okay, so like you're getting the first half of the year down, but I think the first 3 months it is a little bit more. First 3-4 months, a little bit more because they're waking up in the middle of the night or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But now that she's sleeping, I have 2 girls, so now that they're both sleeping amazing, my little one is constantly entertained by my big one. So in my opinion, the workload is like not that much more. It's like a little bit more work to like put them to bed. That's probably the biggest one. Is like putting them to bed or getting them in the car or whatever. But like during the day, they are already starting to like self-entertain each other, which is amazing.
It's like, well, thank you for that viewpoint, because Tom DeRick is telling me 2 kids equal life is over. So
I mean, I bet like 3 or 4 maybe, but 2 is easy. Well, easy is a strong word, but like, if you've already done 1, you can do 2.
Well, the biggest risk a trader should ever take is going from 1 to 2.
Oh yes,
going from 2 to 3 is easy.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right, back in the 80s, kind of interesting. Delta's heavy.
Yeah, I remember the 80s.
I bet you do, Hogue.
I will say, on the 1 to 2 kids, my little one is now like, she's like very actively crawling around and pulling herself up and kind of taking little baby steps on stuff.
She's cruising.
Yeah, she's definitely cruising. So it is that is a little bit more challenging because you do have to kind of have your head on a swivel. But yeah,
I remember those days, man. My daughter's 26 and my son is 24.
nice.
They're pretty much self-entertaining now.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody mentioned yesterday that they're at the age where you just have to give them money. But they're the best thing ever. Wonderful thing to have. Wonderful thing to give thanks for.
Yeah. And now if you ask me, I would have to say the same thing. I can't let Matt do kids and then me be like, oh,
No, I got plenty of stuff this year. I mean, I can keep going. Taking some awesome trips this year, which has been super fun. Very thankful for that. I love getting out of the house.
Jack, you were next. What are your things to be thankful for this year?
Oh, of course, as Matt has laid the foundation. Of course, I'm thankful for my family. You know, my son is just over 2 as well, Matt.
Nice.
So, yeah, just very exciting. Besides that, thankful that I got a place to live, enjoying the house I'm in right now. It's fantastic.
Good. Very nice.
Are you in Chicago?
I am a few blocks away from Chicago.
Okay.
I just moved last year to Oak Park.
Cool.
Oak Park's a great place.
It is. Like it. Right near
Lot
the
of
L.
history. A lot of history. Well, we just then, driving lower. Now we're back to where we started from here. And my entry is the halfway mark of the range so far today.
Holiday
I would have
week.
been interested in getting long there had we gotten volume down in the 80s, like if point of control would have flipped, but we just snapped right back up to 16K. So, yeah.
Well, I have a question for a poll. If JD or Michelle can put it in there. Given what we're seeing so far, how many of you are trading tomorrow? I.e. the day before Thanksgiving. I'm just kind of curious.
It's a good question. I know we're going to be here.
Yeah, we'll be here. As they say, diddling in the middle.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't at first. It was it was actually the dead ass low at one point. I got somebody fading me. They're long at 47. Hope you make some money on it.
God bless you.
Absolutely.
Y'all eat breakfast before you trade?
Don't usually have time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll have a protein shake or something, but didn't get one today. So the only thing I had for breakfast this morning was coffee and water.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was trading at the board of trade, I used to usually pick up something disgusting, but I was in my 20s then. My body could handle it. Yeah. Now I ate like a couple of pre-cooked cold sausage links this morning. It's laziness more than anything.
Let me guess. Do you get those at Costco?
I get the egg frittatas from Costco. These I got from Fresh Time.
Chat, do y'all eat at breakfast before you trade? I'm pretty superstitious on stuff. I'm not gonna lie. So if I eat breakfast one day and it kind of works out, then I'm gonna eat breakfast every day until it doesn't work out, and then I'm gonna play around with it not working.
I mean, as a general principle, we all should probably be eating breakfast, but
So we don't eat our stomachs.
Yeah, you need that energy, power your brain.
My dad was a trader at the Board of Trade for 40 years, and he always came in the building on the same door, tried to use the same elevator up to his office, walked in the same door to the trading floor every day, wore the same shoes, and wore the same tie every day.
Same tie every day is aggressive. I like it.
Yeah. It it was basically in tatters by the time he quit, by the time he retired. One of these days I'll tell you about the tie. It was kind of funny. I didn't get it until I was a little bit older, but there was a message in the tie. See if I can find a picture of it. Well, here we are. Not really
every day, Daniel.
We do have a number 9.
What is that again?
Home sales. Existing home sales. It's marked as an important one on the calendars. So
they marked so many things important, though.
Yeah.
It's because they need you filter by 3 stars. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, the Aussie dollar parade. I don't know. I just made that one up, but I feel like there's only a handful that are really going to move it.
Yeah. We don't really have any talking feds. I mean, ECB President Lagarde is speaking at 10 o'clock, I guess, today. So you will see if he has anything to say. But, I think probably a lot of hurry up and wait now for the FOMC meeting minutes and Nvidia at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want to aggressively position before that NVIDIA thing in the NASDAQ. So Hogue short from 45, 48, 50.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, you're still flat?
I haven't taken a single thing yet. Nope. Still flat. Crude's doing nothing. Nas is kind of doing nothing.
A whole lot of nothing.
Yep. I'm interested to see what happened with crude if we can pop 7760. So we had a lot of volume put in, bounced off 77s, 50 tick rotation up. We got yesterday's value area low at 7760. So you get back up inside that, it's a little bit interesting to me, but as long as we keep clean rejecting it, it's 50 tick rotations in my opinion.
And you can make a lot of money if you play that right.
Right, yeah. There are times a day where I enjoy playing rotations like that, and then certain, like 10:30 to noon central, I don't mind playing rotations. If it's earlier than that, I get a little spooked playing rotations. I've just gotten burned too many times in early morning volatility where like it appears that we are going to keep rotating or whatever. We keep getting volume flips, etc., and then it snaps. So I like doing it more during lunchtime where it's a little bit more when
everybody else is at lunch.
Yeah, when it actually does kind of rotate just naturally.
So we've got about 2.5 minutes before this number comes out. Do I hold this or do I get rid of it? What am I doing with this position?
You should wait 15 seconds before, see if the book's thin out, and then rock and roll.
Tradertainment, Hogue.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll leave it then.
I think if the books are super thin, then it's obvious to, clean it. But normally home sales books are just normal and we don't really have a crazy reaction.
Yeah. I'm just kind of watching the S&P dome here, and, we're still well into the hundreds and 200s as far as bids and offers are concerned. 2 minutes left.
Well, so far high of day is the 80 to 20 rotation, high and low of day.
Right.
Should have taken it. Classic. Little hindsight.
Yeah, that's always easy, isn't it?
Right.
Hindsight's 20/20.
I think with existing home sales too, it feels like the type of number that you could get a pretty good idea of what it is before it's announced, right? It's not the same as CPI or the employment numbers would be difficult, but existing home sales, I bet you get a pretty good idea if you have the data.
What do you think, Jack? Do you think it's lower?
Existing home sales? Well, I don't have the data, but
I think it's lower for sure.
with like Zillow and Redfin and stuff out there, people have to have a good idea.
Right.
Is it Dome or Dom? Yeah, that's a good one. You say
Hell, is
Dome
it
or Dom?
Dome or Dom?
I always said Dome.
Yeah, I say Dome. Wait, I don't know. I think I say Dom.
We'll catch you later on when
Right. It'll slip sometime.
Speaking freely.
I think home sales are down. There's actually a market that a mutual acquaintance started called Kalshi, Kalshi. They're regulated and everything, and they basically created like a true polling environment through trading. So you can bet on like interest rates. You can trade interest rates. It's like binary options essentially on like interest rates and home sales, any sort of like economic news. They had weather up there for a little bit. I think they still do. I haven't traded that in a while. Presidential elections, things like that. It's pretty interesting. They're going through like a pretty big court case right now on presidential elections because they think that like they're basically claiming that polls are skewed, and so they want people to be able to trade their polls. But
okay,
pretty interesting on the on like home sales and stuff like that because people are actually like very smart out there, and so if you can kind of get in a direction with the trades out there, people are very like you don't really get anything out of it, but you can get an idea of where the news is actually going to be gearing up.
So their October came out lower. It was 3.95 million in September. They were looking for 3.9 million. It came out 3.79 million lower. As Matt suggested, it is true.
Indeed, it was. I got those number up now,
and the markets didn't really care.
No, not really, not much. Huh?
Yeah, it's not a really big mess.
Yeah, I just know in my area, at least, home sales have just taken a massive hit in Austin, and there's no signs of it being any better anytime soon. So I would imagine that number is red for a while.
Really, in Austin?
Yep.
I thought everybody was from California was moving to Austin.
Well, they were, and I guess they're not anymore. I don't know.
Oh, I guess.
I think a lot of people are actually moving back. I've heard about a lot of people moving back. Nice. We just ran the lows on the NAS.
Oh, 1 second. Still short.
Yeah, still short.
Diamond hands, as they say.
Yeah.
Through that monster number.
I've never been known for my great foresight, but this is a trade.
I just, by the way, learned that I've been mispronouncing. Hey, Hogue, what's the big company that's giving earnings after the close today?
NVIDIA?
Yeah,
he said it right.
Matt, you say it. I want to see like how I'm doing it wrong.
I say NVIDIA, but I know that's wrong.
Is it NVIDIA? Is that how you're supposed to say it? I don't want to sound like a jerk here.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not NVIDIA. It's
NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Okay.
NVIDIA.
I'll keep that in mind. I'm still going to do it wrong.
Oh, God. I don't know. I'm the worst with pronunciations. And anybody who's like from my channel who's watching, I don't know how to say idioms ever. And I am terrible with words in general. So I'm definitely the wrong person to ask.
I'm hearing NVIDIA. Okay. That's simple. You spelled it out so even an idiot like me can figure it out. N like the letter Vidia. Gotcha.
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA.
Brooksy's telling me to hold it. Others are saying get out.
Those are the two options.
Yeah. Right. Do we go for it on fourth down or do we punt? Do we fish or cut bait?
How much in the money are you?
Flat.
Flat? Yeah. Well, NAS is finally seeing some buyers here. We'll see if it steps up enough, but
now you're watching your
my little short term 22 range,
and that's the delta that you're looking at, seeing the buyers come in.
Yeah, and I kind of watch it with the pace of the DOM too, so it's like a little mini combo. I don't really know how to describe the pace of the DOM. It's really tough. You just kind of like you watch it enough, you can kind of figure out the little like, 4 ticks up, 2 ticks down sort of movement that just kind of naturally happens.
So it's official. You call it a dom.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I guess so. I call it the Dom. Yeah.
Dom.
Didn't even notice I was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that paired with Delta, you just kind of see it. But
yeah, we were relatively deep into the Delta early in the S&Ps here. We've taken a lot of it off. I mean, we're only down 800 now. We were down like 2,300 something at some point. So we're seeing buyers coming in, but I don't know how successful they are.
right. So I kind of want to see, like, for what I like trading, I'd want to see us go back down into like low 80s, maybe even sweep the lows on the session, and for buyers to kind of stay, or Delta to stay where it's at right now would be interesting. And then potentially even to put some more volume in at whatever this is at 85 would be like interesting for me to want to get long. The tilt is pretty flat. The only reason I'm even talking about longs right now is like I know like we have like a generally downtrend from the overnight session through now.
Right.
But it feels very rotational to me still. So I don't know. Like with FOMC minutes later today, I'm like, are we really going to sell off all day? Maybe. Do I like to play back up into 16K? Yeah, I do. So you're looking at 10-point trades,
So that's a good thing. If I say the market's going to just range all day because of FOMC, it won't.
Right.
The market loves to make a liar out of me. So the market is going to range all day today. Certainly not going to go lower significantly.
Right.
All right, let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it is a holiday week. We talked yesterday. You got to expect a little bit lower participation, a little bit less liquidity, especially FOMC coming out later. I don't know. I'm starting to talk myself out of this trade, but I'm not any smarter than I was when I put it on. So we're gonna see what happens. We're really just kind of in this consolidation from yesterday, finding support at the single TPOs right down here. If you're looking at profile, these are single TPOs. This should be supportive. We had single TPOs here we took out before we even opened. A little bit of a demand zone here.
Saying you could reverse, Hogue.
Yeah, no, I mean, the opening range is still the high of the day. We just took off about 2,000 in Delta, and we're still holding the opening range at the high of the day. I mean,
you got to hold it if for only entertainment values.
Yeah, I'm going to number one, accept it as a loss already. Anything other than that will be a nice surprise.
You're what, risking 5 points or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I say why not hold it? I mean, Everything is down, right? So we're trending down still, technically.
Probably get whacked by the overnight inventory, but that might give us another better trade location for a short. But right now, that opening range is still the high, so I'm not looking for longs.
Right. NAS Delta is good. I like the way the NAS looks for the top side push for a little bit more move higher. That being said, we're right at 16K psych level, big round number or whatever y'all call it.
Right.
Big ass number or whatever. And then at the overnight lows also. So it's like there's 3 things there that are kind of,
the big fat round number.
Yep. Kind of slap worthy there, and volume. So volume, overnight lows, 16K. We rotate an instant 8 points off of it. It's gotta be faster to jump in on some of this stuff, unfortunately. I'd like to see a rotation back up to value area high on the session, probably 1610s. could be an interesting short there for me. That would be where I would be comfortable. The 16K one is a little bit diddle in the middle for me.
Right.
So a bit more like 1610s to 1620s is more short worthy in my opinion for the kind of reverse.
15,999 is the point of control.
Right. I think it just flipped actually. It flipped down to 94s and a half. 95s.
Yep. Volume point of control. You are correct, sir.
Well, Hoag's still in the short. I think sometime soon, Matt. If always go back to trading if you want, but we should probably take a look at the F1 stuff at some point too. I got questions.
Yeah, we can. Did you say you have pictures?
I think that we do have some pictures. I don't know if they're of you. Got James working the box today of some of the celebrities and stuff. But overall, what was your impression?
Okay, so I really liked it. I'm a huge F1 nerd for the most part. I really liked it. I think that there was pros and cons like there is with anything in life. Here in Austin, so like if you go to like the Formula One race here in Austin, it's obviously a totally different track. The track is designed for it. I think a street race is so cool. Seeing all the cars flying down the strip was top notch cool factor. A lot of people don't like it or whatever. I thought the race itself was one of the best races of the year, personally. Which again, kind of a hot take. The very first, there was also the other thing to note is that it's the first time they did it there, right? So lots of learning experiences and things that won't happen next year that were bad this time. So the very first night, when they're supposed to start their practices, a manhole came up out of the ground, like the lid, because these F1 cars create such insane suction downforce. Mm-hmm. It lifted a manhole up out of the ground that they hadn't welded or cemented into place, basically. And so that delayed practice by 4 hours, so that they started their practice at 2:30 in the morning.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but that was the main real hiccup in my opinion. I also think from a viewing perspective, there are very good spots for viewing and very bad spots for viewing the race in person. Mm-hmm. I was in a bad spot, unfortunately, which there's no way to know until you're there that, it's a sucky spot, basically. It was just too many people. They packed too many people into where we couldn't see the track.
That's interesting because half the media, we're going to go through some photos here that James has gathered from it. It's there's John Hoagland, I believe. Yeah, I'm just going to go with John Hoagland there. That's Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
Hey, Deanna knows Rod Stewart.
Yeah, she used to
play.
with him.
Yeah.
I saw Shaq. Yeah, I saw him at my seating area.
Everyone in a 5-mile radius saw Shaq.
Right.
Will I am, baby. Matt, I was saying the other day, I haven't laughed so hard at something as during the Miami Grand Prix where they had will.i.am conducting an orchestra at the beginning.
Right. Yeah. With all the players walking out to it and you're like, what's happening right now?
That was the most Miami shit ever. We got Usain Bolt, fast man, fast cars.
Gordon Ramsay.
And there you go. That's the rundown from there.
Yeah. The leaving F1 was crazy. There was insane winds in Las Vegas Sunday, and so there was 600 flights that got delayed.
Okay,
they couldn't land planes because of how windy it was, and so there was so many planes in a holding pattern or whatever that planes couldn't take off and leave. No one could land. They were down to one runway, so that was kind of a little bit of a shit show getting home.
Hate it when that happens.
And there was 900 private planes there as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It seems like half the people I saw posting were saying that it's empty, this was a big disappointment, and then after no, it's packed.
Yeah,
you said it was packed, right?
I said it was packed where I was. I think I was trying to reflect on some of those comments because I was just trying to understand where they're coming from. They must have been at casinos that were way down on the tips of the strip or something. I stayed at the Bellagio, and the Bellagio was mega packed.
Right in it.
Yeah, like it was super, super packed. I saw something that said there was 315,000 people that were at the race. So doesn't seem like a flop to me. That's a lot of people. But then, yeah, I saw a bunch of stuff on Twitter about like people complaining that no one was there. And I was like, I mean, the table minimums at the Bellagio where I was on Saturday night to play blackjack was $300 a hand.
Oh my God.
That seems about right.
Which is crazy. I've never seen it that high, like ever. Like, you know, you get like to 50, $100 a hand or whatever. But like it was $300 on the main floor. And then the high limit room was 1,000 and 3,000.
I mean, a huge event. Meanwhile, I just saw like someone tweet from the saddest tweet ever was like an Outback Steakhouse in one of the casinos that I guess had a view or something. They were expecting it to be packed and it wasn't. I'm like, what is going on here? Although,
right, yeah,
Outback
I
Steakhouse,
saw that same tweet.
Yeah, maybe not the best place to watch a race.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's a bunch of local people who are just pissed off about the construction, which is totally fair. Like, I mean, I think they were working on it for like 3 or 4 months on the strip before, but you know, as someone who could just go in for the weekend and leave, it was freaking awesome and would highly recommend going to anybody else. Because it's Vegas is kind of like one of those deals where you don't really want to, you know, spend a ton of time in Vegas. You know, you get your 24, 48 hours of going hard and then you can go home.
Right.
But this kind of broke it up because you had something to do in between your gambling or your shows or whatever you're trying to do. So you kind of had like a big activity every night that allowed you to kind of stay longer, which is fun. We got a 300 block on the NAS at 80 flat, 333. This dude's been playing around like the last like 2 weeks. I feel like, I don't know if y'all noticed him sitting around.
Michael's been kind of peaked on that.
Yeah, this dude has been playing both ways for like weeks. Just constant 300 block, both ways. I've been kind of trying to pay a little bit more attention to him just to kind of figure out what's going on. But
and he's been right too.
Yeah, that's the other interesting thing is normally I feel like when you see a big order like that, it just kind of runs through it. Either liquidity. It gets, yeah, like and a lot of times it just gets pulled, to be honest. But this dude's, he pulled it. This dude's been actually getting filled on stuff, which has been fascinating.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what the strategy is there. It's, you know, putting a 300 lot there is a choice.
Hopefully, right, and a 300 lot that you can see is a choice.
That's like, what I mean, that you can see it. That's what I meant. I mean, like trading 300 lots is a lot of size, but it's also, there's other ways to do it.
Hopefully it's not a fat finger.
Well, he's back. Like he pulled it, they swept 80, and now he's back at it. Kind of spooky.
You think it's maybe some sort of a...
You never know. They can be spreading things.
Okay, so he just got filled out. No, he got fully filled there. He's fully filled. I would say normally I would say yes, it is kind of spoofy, but like, and that was that first time,
he got filled,
but he got actually filled out. So
wild.
That extended the range.
Swept new lows. At least it's interesting. Like movement is good. Take movement. And now we're kind of trying to sneak back into the range.
If you can iceberg it, why would you show it? Well,
right. That's what I'm wondering.
Because it's all a game. What I mean by that is that we noticed it, and I would presume that somebody doing that is probably pretty savvy, that they have some reason to believe that that's the right way to do it based on data, what they're trying to do. They could also, like, when I was trading, I wasn't trading outrights like this, but we were trading basis spreads, and it would look like the same thing. We don't know what that person's trying to do. They could be trying to hedge some options trade. They could be trying to hedge against some other product. You don't know. And yeah, Kogue, I think I'm going to get a trading combine set up for tomorrow for myself, so that
that'll be cool.
Eddie's out. Someone asked if I trade. Yes, the type of trading I did was very different than this, though. I've never really been an outright futures traders. I traded treasury spreads professionally for about 7 years, and now do a little bit of stuff with options and stuff, but I'd be interested to learn more about futures, which I have just from watching Hogue do his thing.
Do you trade zero dated options, or are you?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
I didn't know how aggressive you were.
Well, I used to be pretty aggressive. Like the truth is, I kind of burnt out on. By the time that I was leaving the company I was at, because I was at a pretty large company, and it was just miserable in the last year, and I just really didn't want to like. The idea of trading seemed so viscerally toxic to me at that point that I didn't want to do anything.
Right.
So I'll do some stuff with options, but it's usually medium term plays. I'm not doing anything like at the end there. Because if I was going to trade zero date options, I would trade futures instead.
Yeah. I track zero dated options. I track large orders that come through on it, but
a lot of folks do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important. Large orders are going to have to hedge it.
Right. That's basically why.
I need to learn more about that.
I have a resting order here. I don't know if I'm going to get filled or not. I have an order at 77.5. I think I probably do get filled off this new open. I hope.
And I'm sitting here just dead even.
Still just chopping around for you?
Yeah, it's not doing anything. It's just kind of hanging around here. So we'll see what happens.
I might have missed my order by 1.5 points. Let's see if it comes back down. What level of 300 block got filled? It got filled at 80 flat to James in the chat.
Shaw, you're right. Anne Marie looks a lot at options, and we had
we're going to have her on soon to do futures and options.
Yes, we had Thomas Becker on yesterday, who looks at the sites, that tell you where the active options strikes are. OpenBB, I think, Cheddar Flow, Bar Chart, Unusual Whales. Those are all sites that do that, but I need to learn more about it before I can actually use it.
Wow, we're sweeping through it. Yeah, I used one called Rigged AI. I also used one called Rocket Scooter. Rocket Scooter shows more long-term dealer hedging, and then Rigged AI is zero dated large block orders.
Rigged AI, like RIGGED.
RIGD.ai, yeah. I took a 15-point loss there. Got swept.
Okay.
So like at 9/11, what happened at 9/11 on this? Yes. Anything interesting?
(9/11) like the Porsche.
Right. Time of day. Anything happened 10 minutes ago on the S&P?
No, I mean,
yeah.
The number came out at 9. There were a couple of kind of good push sweeps to the downside at one point. I'm not sure about the time.
So like we just got a fat zero day sweep. All right, on the candle that I got stopped out on literally a minute ago. And so like that the 240 to the 388 put is up 25% instantly on that zero dated option.
Oof.
It's just crazy. So like that alert comes out and it's just like that type of stuff is very interesting to me. And then the dealer hedging one that I use is like basically showing that it's a down day. Nothing too crazy there. Pretty obvious that it's so far getting swept. I was giving one last try for playing back into the range, but I don't think it's going to happen. A bunch of sellers came out.
It's amazing, Hogue, that you're still in that position from the opening minute, and it just really has not moved too much one way or the other.
No.
Little in the money, though.
Yeah, a little bit. At least we extended the range to the downside. I mean, A high is above B high, B low is below A low, almost a beginning of some possible one-time framing, which is continuation of the overnight session. So
we're 10 points away on from the that NAS level that we were talking about, 945s, 940s. So that'll be kind of interesting sooner.
Wouldn't you be looking for the 920s?
Yeah, I mean 920s is where I would probably say yes, but the problem is that we have yesterday's value area low at 940,
Okay.
and then we have the overnight or Friday's high right around there as well. So we sweep that, then yeah, you're looking for the 920s.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we've got a lot of space down below. I mean, before we get to the overall value low from yesterday in the S&Ps, I mean, we're looking at 45.34.
Right.
And that's the TPO low. But when there's a double distribution or several distributions, I kind of address different value areas for each. The one thing that I am liking about, where we went down to here is we took out these single TPOs. So if we can accept in this, that brings us acceptance of price in this distribution of time and volume down to the value area low.
There's the 40s.
Best laid plans of mice and men often go astray.
Crude oil still doing nothing.
What's your target, Hogue?
Back in the 40s.
Jack, what'd you say?
What's your target?
I would like to say 30, 43, 30, I'm sorry, 50, 45, 35. Oh my gosh, my
is your lawn furniture flying again?
Coming out.
Okay.
Pardon?
I was asking if your lawn furniture was flying around again.
No, there we go. All right, I put an order in. We'll put a little seed down there and we'll see if it goes and gets it.
Nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, my dad used to do that. He called them wishing orders.
I call them act of God orders.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
There you go. You'd say, yeah, you got a wishing order down way lower in the soybeans. Let's see if we get it today. Sometimes you do.
So looks like we got the DOJ announcing. I'm trying to find that comment here they left. I'm looking up right now. Department of Justice to announce major cryptocurrency enforcement actions today at 3 Eastern. So that's 2 Central.
They were coming after Kraken yesterday, Kraken exchange. So I wonder if it has to do with that. Here's the 20s.
I did read that the U.S. is seeking over $4 billion from Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, to end a criminal probe.
Yeah, I saw that.
You buy yourself out of that shit,
All right. And I think $4 billion is kind of chump change for those guys. So they probably will just say, yes, please.
It's like guys got in trouble with the exchange and they'd make $3 million and their fine from the exchange would be $200,000.
Right. I mean, that's like, there's spoofing fines all the time that we see come through where it's like, they get a little $20 million fine for spoofing or whatever. And you're like, those guys must have made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
There was one big one recently. I think it was JP Morgan spoofing settlement. It was on precious metals.
Yes, it was. And there's some great, I feel like, messages from that trial. Yeah.
Do you remember any of the details on it? I don't really remember too much. I just remember it was on like prolific, like massive spoofing with like,
I think they were spoofing to, as I recall, give favorable prices to certain like derivatives products that they were selling or trading. I'd have to look into it. That's one of them. If that's not the JP Morgan one, it's someone else.
Yeah, and I think they got like $100 million slap on the wrist or something like along those lines. But like they must have made ungodly amounts of money off of that, right?
One would think. Do you dabble in the cryptocurrency world, Matt?
Yeah, I do. Oh, wait, it was nine. They agreed. Sorry, excuse me.
Go for it.
September 2020, JP Morgan agrees to pay 920 million in a spoofing precious metals and treasury markets. 920 million. That's crazy. Yes, I do dabble in crypto. Some of my biggest trades of all time are crypto for me.
Crypto.
Yeah.
I don't trust it. I don't get it. If I don't know enough about it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that's all very valid and fair. And then I mean, Bitcoin on the CME is just not, there's just not enough going on with it.
Yeah. And maybe it's because of my age, I'm very distrustful of new stuff like that.
All right.
Somebody asked what spoofing is. So when you place an order on exchange, you're supposed to place something that you want to be filled on, right? You're not supposed to go in there and manipulate the market by putting in huge orders to pull them milliseconds before, move things around that way. Anyone, Hogue, do you have anything to add on spoofing?
Yeah, I mean they do it. It happens a lot. I mean, they do it all the time. It's to manipulate the shorter time frame traders to acting in a certain way.
Like, think about that 300 block. That 300 block guy that we've all been watching, right? We're all paying attention because there's a fat order on the books, and so we're all trying to figure out: is he going to buy? Is he going to sell? Should I front run him? Should I not? And if he pulls his order and we get filled on something, then it's like it was all for nothing, and that's spoofing. He's getting priced to move in a direction without having to execute.
I just took my profit on that 450. It's 2-to-1 reward over risk. So I'm happy with that. Now watch it go.
Right? That would be classic.
But dude, that's fine for one lot.
It's a good trade in a long time. 2-to-1 reward over risk. I'm happy with that. So back to spoofing. Guys in the pit used to do it all the time. They would offer a 100 lot just to try and push price in a particular direction. They'd offer 100 lot, try and move the offer down, and then they would sell a 1 lot on a low tick. And they call that painting the tape.
Okay.
So you would be able to kind of down tick the market with one contract, and that would go across the tape and out to the whole world to make the market look like it's weaker than it might actually be. So, when we have people showing big orders in the dome, they're really supposed to leave it in there for an amount of time before they can pull it. That amount of time has been in question for years. And how do you know? I mean, how does the exchange know if you put an order in to sell 500 in the S&Ps that you don't actually want it, but change your mind 2 seconds later?
Right. Because the conditions change all the time, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to prove it, but they are getting better and better at it because they can see what you do on the other side, right? You put a 500 lot in, the market breaks, you buy a whole bunch, and then you pull your offer. But it has to happen. It has to happen really quickly.
So, you see, these big banks get slapped with spoofing fines all the time. Once you start paying attention to it, super famous one. If you want to read a good book, is about NAV, NAV. I think his last name is Sav something, or I don't remember. But NAV is a guy out of Japan who probably the most famous spoofing case of a retail trader. Guy made millions and millions and millions of dollars spoofing the markets back in the day when computer trading was first introduced. Worth a read. It's called Flash Crash. Actually, the only trading book I've ever read. And it's
really?
Not even a helpful book. It's just an interesting story called Flash Crash.
Huh. So it's like a kind of a biography of that.
Yeah.
Of that situation. Huh.
Yeah.
You've read trading instruction books, right?
No, I've literally never read a book. Well, I've read a book, but I've never read a trading book.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so one of these days, I'm gonna suck it up and read Trading in the Zone because that's what everybody talks about. But
It's a very good book.
Yeah, I don't know. I really struggle to. I mean, I'm going to sound like an idiot here, but I really struggle to read.
So do I.
So,
but you can get them on audiobooks now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But here's his other book, the Disciplined Trader.
Yeah, is it good?
I actually like this one better than Trading the Zone. But that's me. It takes me forever to read.
Yeah, no, it takes me a very, very long time. We're sitting at the 20s right now, so we made the 80 to 20 rotation very quickly, very, very quickly. 10 minutes. So now we kind of see if we're gonna continue lower or hold the line.
Where's value? We took out the low value in the NASDAQ.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Eggs come from chickens.
Books. Where and how did you accumulate your knowledge? Just time on screen, man. Sorry, answering your question for Grog. I was just reading the YouTube chat real quick. He said, if you don't read trading books, how'd you accumulate your knowledge? Talking with people. So having trading buddies, we're all kind of, throwing ideas around with. Time on screen. Your brain is you're very smart humans, and your brain can pick up on patterns very quickly. And then once you kind of figure out something, be a learner and go down the rabbit hole. Like, I spent tons of time on Google, right? Once you find a concept, go research it, try and understand it, watch the screens on it, and then let your brain, you read one article talking about one thing that you're researching, but then they mention something else. Go run down that rabbit hole. That's how I get most of my knowledge. And then asking people like, to explain stuff, you find Discord. There's so many free communities out there, and you got to sift through a bunch of BS, to be honest, through a lot of them. But there's always little bits of nuggets, and then you can find people pretty much wherever you go that will be like-minded individuals who you want to learn from, and who can. Iron sharpens iron, right? So even from a learning environment, like if you're with a bunch of people who are all trying to actively learn and get better, you're gonna all get different pieces of information and then combine it together. That's what happened with me.
So Matt, the key is actively.
Yes,
actively.
Exactly. Yeah.
See some questions about the 80-20 rotation. Do you care to explain for the audience what that is?
Yeah, I don't really have. We need to come up with a name for it. But I just have noticed over the last, years, 4 or 5 years, me and my stream noticed that like the market, specifically the NASDAQ, because that's what we noticed it on, likes to rotate and consolidate 80 to 20. So like you saw right off the open, we flushed immediately to 80, and then we pumped immediately to 20, and then we rotated back down to 80, and then we consolidated 80, and then we snapped lower to the 20s, and now we're consolidating the 20s. And so now it's like, if we're going to break lower, I'd be looking at 880, and if we're going to break higher, I probably wouldn't be looking for the full 980 rotation, but it's just kind of points of interest. I wouldn't it wouldn't be something I'm taking a trade off of, but if there's enough other stuff, it's a point of confluence, in my opinion. Something interesting to keep an eye out on, as you're looking at your own charts. Just start. This is a great example of what we were just talking about. How do you learn stuff? Like now you're learning about the 80-20 or whatever I'm talking about with 80-20. So now open up your charts and go pay attention to it over the next couple of weeks and see what happens with it.
And look left too. See how often it happens in the past.
Right.
And that's what Matt is talking about, is actively paying attention. You can stare at charts for 10,000 hours and learn nothing.
That's a good point.
You've got to be paying attention, accountable, noticing things. You've got to be an active watcher, an active learner if you're going to do it.
Yeah. I think a good thought process too, because a lot of people talk about like watching the DOM. Like you got to watch the DOM in order to figure out like how quote unquote order flow is or whatever. And it's like, watching the DOM itself is not going to help you. But if you can kind of learn to think in if-thens, right? Like if this is happening, then I expect this to happen. And if this doesn't happen, then I kind of expect this to happen. That whole concept in trading is very applicable. But like however you're watching the screens, just think about it in if-then statements. Like if you're not actively trading, but you are trying to learn and kind of watch price action and figure out what's going on, just kind of map out in your brain, like, okay, so like if we snap 20, then I expect 80 to rotate think about it like that, and it kind of creates that active learning style that John's talking about with, and be a learner, be able to be wrong, but kind of helps, in my opinion. Just kind of a 2 cents little thing.
No, that's
Sure.
I mean, that's great stuff. And nothing works every time.
Right.
Like Matt says. I mean, if you've got an expected behavior and it doesn't happen, what's the next expected behavior? And does that happen?
Right. So like right now we're sitting on initial balance, right? Initial balance low, IB low.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if I expect IB low to hold, then I would actually expect a rotation back up, probably to the midpoint, which is at 70s, which to me would then be, I might expect a rotation back up to 80s because I find the market typically rotates 20 to 80. Would be kind of like one of the ways that I would think about that. If IB low does not hold, if we kind of snap and break and close below IB, and we have a little move to the downside, maybe 900s or 910s, and then we come back up, retest the 22 level, IB low, and we hold it, then I would expect a rotation down into 880s. That would be kind of like that thought process that I'm talking about, where I'm kind of trying to map out a few different routes and see kind of how it works. If I'm not, taking the trades, or if I am taking the trades, same concept, I guess. And just to kind of see, like, okay, is this the type of price action I should be expecting on a day like this? Then you could even like throw in the VIX. Like, what's the VIX at right now?
Right.
So if the VIX is at a 17 or at 20 or at 15, what is the VIX right now? VIX is at 13.6. So
or if it's trending one way or another.
Yeah. If it's up a percentage point, right? If the VIX is up a percentage point, what do I expect to be happening with price action if it's at a level that I care about? Things like that, where it's like, okay, that's how you can very aggressively learn very quickly if you're kind of able to open your brain up to consuming.
There's a lot to consume.
There's a lot to consume. There's an endless amount to consume.
100%. Yeah.
Analysis paralysis in some capacity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does happen. And usually if I get into analysis, paralysis by analysis, I'll go play golf for a couple of days. I'll do something else, just get my mind off it. And then I feel a lot more clear when I come back. I'm not all stuffed up with all that information. It's had a chance to digest.
Yeah.
And then we can move on. It's so important to take a little bit of time away.
I agree. I've gotten to a point where I'm kind of at like, does this 300 guy back? Like 300 guys back at 20 flat now. So he was there. 300 guy was there at 80 flat and got filled at 80 flat, and now
he's at 20
flat.
Unbelievable.
20 flat. So like, I mean, back to the 80-20s. I don't know if maybe this guy's watching the stream. If you're watching the stream, just go ahead and move that block around a little bit, But but like, it's just fascinating. Why is he getting filled at 80 flat and 20 flat? Or why does he have resting stuff at 80-20? I don't know, but
he's been watching you.
Right. He's watching TopstepTV right now. I agree with you about taking time off though. I've learned that I perform significantly better if I take a few days every quarter of no screen time. And my brain now, if it's getting to that point where it's like 3-4 months in and I'm still aggressively on the screen every day, I start to perform worse. And my brain is like, you need to sit back.
You turn into mush.
Yeah.
I was thinking that when you were talking about, everybody says, look at the dome. If I look at the dome, I'll be exhausted within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's tough.
The only time I look at it is potential breakouts.
Yeah.
Whether it's an IB breakout or a longer time frame breakout, I'm going to be looking at the dome to make sure that everybody actually cares that it's happening.
Right. I care more about, I agree with that. I care more about the dom at extremes. So at highs or lows, or swing highs or swing lows, so I can see if there is some form of accumulation or continuation. Like,
right. Yeah, it breaks out and the dome dies. I'm like, nobody cares. This isn't going anywhere.
Right. The other thing that I mostly watch in the dom, which I can see on my 1 minute chart, is really just like, where are resting orders, like above average resting orders? I call them magnets. So like right now we have 36 sitting at 39. That's above average for both ways. So I would kind of anticipate us to kind of rotate up to 39.
Goes to the liquidity
often. Yeah, I watch that very often, kind of constantly. But I have different ways of looking at it now, whether it's on the 1 minute chart or if I'm actually looking at the dom.
The market always seems to go to the liquidity, where the most trading can occur.
Right. Well, that's the whole point of the market, right?
Facilitate trade.
Facilitate trades.
Facilitate trade.
So 20 just sitting there is kind of interesting. The 20 guy, 300.20, makes me a little curious in this 44 level. 44 to 50.
Why that level? My dog is barking. Apologize.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. I mean, even value area low here. Basically, anything from here, value area low to the 40s. I kind of want to see this little wick that got run at 40. I kind of want to see us run that 40 level, and then we have I think an order block is probably the right term here for all you ICT boys out there. I don't really know, but a 1 minute chart. Whenever I see a sea of red candles on a 1 minute chart, or even a 5 minute chart, if I see a sea of red candles, I look for the one green candle in the middle, and it typically is a nice little reversal spot. Again, I don't know the right terminology on most everything that I talk about, but just something that I noticed. Like if you have, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 red candles in a row, there's typically going to be one green one where we kind of consolidated for a half second.
Right.
And that's going to be the one that we rotate off of a lot of times.
So you got to name these, man. You get such good names.
I think that one is named by ICT. I think it is called an order block. The chat will probably be all over me on this one. I think it is an order block. But definitely something that I like to watch for. And I mean, we're kind of rotating it right now. We've got to 43s.
Mm-hmm. Your 20 level down there was
money,
right?
I didn't see enough buyers down there for me to want to
participate.
Yeah, just a little sketch after getting slapped fairly hard. I mean, that was a 60-point rotation pretty quickly. Not something I really want to step in front of a whole lot.
As a reminder, we have Fed minutes at 1, and then we have NVIDIA earnings after the bell today.
NVIDIA.
I think you're looking at in the ES right now.
Yeah. Here it is. So, okay. Accumulation of time and volume. Excess. This offers us the opportunity to limit risk for another short.
Going back to the well. Love it.
Right. The one thing that I don't like about it is we're in a kind of a repair mode. What repair is when we open between two kind of high volume nodes or volume areas in the previous day, the market has a tendency to trade to an assumed point of control in the lower distribution and an assumed point of control in the upper distribution. We know yesterday that the points of control, here's the TPO point of control, here's the volume point of control. We've repaired here to here. My question is, now are we going to repair back up to here? We take out these single TPOs, and that makes this a rotational day. So not going to be taking this short, even though look how cheap it is. I mean, you could risk really 2 points, but I'm mush right now.
Yeah,
I don't want to take it because of that reason. Repair is likely. So what's repair? I mean, we left all this up here. Well, we took that out. Overnight, we took out this low volume area here, but we haven't really taken it out in the regular trading hour session. Now, I don't want to go long because our opening range is still the high of the session. And I don't really want to go short because we've repaired down to here and we may repair back up to here. This may be it for us. I mean, we may just kind of hang in here till FOMC meeting comes out, till the minutes come out. But we close these single TPOs. This turns into a a rotational range bound type of day. And, I might look at a short up here. I might look at a long down here. If they offer cheap opportunities, I can take them. But right now, I'm going to just sit here and bask in the glow of my nice, tidy little profit.
Is that how you normally do it, Hogue? So you won't take, you do the opening range trade, for instance, and then if that remains the high or low, you try and steer clear of doing anything?
Opposite trades, right?
Yeah.
But, yesterday was a prime example of I was able to find an opposite trade. So, the market opened, left the opening range at the dead ass low, which isn't an industry term. We opened here, I shorted here and covered it here. So I made money on the short side on an up day yesterday. I didn't really participate the rest of the day because I've been a non-believer of this rally. What is this?
Why it's
I'm
45,
short
58.
45s, 45.75.
Okay.
I took it. Will be a scalp. I would like to see a rotation back to IBL, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm going to be pretty nimble on it.
Oh, hello. Jeez. Okay. So I'm with you on that. I mean, I like the trade. You're short, right?
Yeah, I'm short. Yeah.
So on the profiles, volume, accumulation, no volume, very little participation. So this is kind of similar to the opportunity that we were looking at in the S&Ps. Well, I mean, considerably more risk if we're going to close out these TPOs, but the market has already kind of rejected the repair area from the NASDAQ up here. There was no repair area down here. We traded to this. Now, we're possibly accepting below value. I mean, I like the short. The risk is a little bit iffy, but I like it.
Yeah, for me, we got to crack 36 here, and if we don't, I'll be out, just straight up. So, but I'm looking at 28s ish for me, just kind of middle of the range, going into IBL. Would be a money style trade that I would like to see. But again, who knows? I'm up 8 points, something like that.
Nice. Those are, we talk about that a lot. I mean, we call them volume shoulders, right? Markets has accumulated some time and volume here. Well, I mean, you get to the shoulder up here. This is your entry. You get to the next high volume node. That's your risk. You can take that rotation all the way to the low or beyond. I mean,
right.
You got the volume shoulder down here. We didn't really bring in any volume below the initial balance.
So yeah, I'm not interested in us really flipping the screen on the 5-minute candle.
What do you mean flipping the screen?
So like whenever we'll go down and test so over here on my left chart, whenever we go down and test the prior open of the candle and we get a bounce out of it, if we flip the candle green, it's typically going to boost.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Understood.
So I like watching the prior opens of the candle before. I don't really know how to describe that, but so the prior open here would be that 36 level that I was talking about. So we got below 36, but we didn't really sweep it super hard. And so us holding above 36 to me is a sign of weakness on the short. That being said, kind of swept it a little bit right afterwards, right when we got back out of it, or right back into the 36 range. So if we flipped this candle green, though, I would 100% be out.
So that's your risk. Right. Very limited risk.
Right.
Very nice.
It's actually, I'm going to go ahead and put a break-even stop in here because we've already swept it once, right? So if we go back up and sweep this candle, that's not good.
Then you're out.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
since we did sweep it once, then I would kind of hope for a close below 36 on this candle. So like in the next minute, I want to see us close below 36. And if we don't, I'll just take my 7 points.
Opening of the previous bar.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you got to do, man. You got to think through the trades. You got to have a reason. You got to have logic. Even if the logic is flawed, at least you got an idea of where your risk is and you know what you're thinking the outcome might be. And we certainly can't name the outcome, but we can certainly give ourselves the opportunity to look for opportunities like Matt just did, limited risk.
Yep.
Talk yourself through these trades, right?
So for me on this trade, it's like, you know, above 52, this trade is no good when I first got into it. Because again, watching for that kind of the sea of red, look for that one green. Above 52 on that green candle is I'm not interested anymore. But I got in at 45, right? So giving myself 7 points. It took 3 points of downside before making its kind of move lower. It stopped right at that 30.
Of course,
39, right? Classic.
Of course.
And I'm fine with kind of where I'm at right now. So I want to give it a second just to kind of let it breathe and see.
And you don't have risk.
Yeah, my trade is off exactly. So there's no real reason for me not to. I mean, they're going to be like the trade never happened, or I'm going to make money. So
right.
That being said, we're just kind of hanging out at yesterday's value area low, which is I don't hate it on the long side. I'll be honest.
Right.
Consolidating yesterday's value area low is not a terrible thing with Delta kind of holding up right now.
Sure. All right. We have a poll we want to ask everybody, and you guys are always really good at answering these polls and being honest with it. The question is, has your strategy improved since watching Topstep TV? Has your strategy improved since watching Topstep TV? We'll put a poll in here shortly, and let's see what we've got on this. We're hoping so. I mean, that's really our goal here, is to see everybody improving and getting as many people making money as we can. So let us know. Be honest. Be honest. We've got a lot of folks watching today. Not usually the guy that asked this, but what's with the likes? Hit the lucky like button. Let us know you're here. Let us know you love us.
The channel says 690 thumbs up. Click it. Get to 1,000.
Those thumbs up feed my family, one by one.
Someone asked for me to explain the wick test. I will explain the wick test if I see a wick test. And it's really hard to explain without a good example. I mean, the daily charts. Well, not even the daily. Yeah. If I see one, I will explain it to whoever asked that. I just lost a comment, but that'll be fun to talk about when we see a good one.
So that's another name, the wick test.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite trades. Just straight up, it's very good, clean, defined risk. It's usually an immediate reaction, and it's good for a scalp.
I can't wait to see this. Let's get a wick test going here, guys.
I know. Yeah, we need one. It'll be usually I like it on the 5-minute chart, so we'll watch and see if we can get one on the 5-minute chart, but don't see one yet. Looks like I might get filled out here. It's close, very close. Don't want to be a dick for a tick, which
10% rule.
Yep, they're close.
See people coming in asking where Michael is again. Once again, Michael is at Legoland, the Legoest on Earth.
He's big into Legos. You should see some of the things he's made.
He's not with the family. He's just there by himself, stacking blocks.
Right.
It's his me time. You know, you need to decompress. He goes to Legoland by himself.
So we got 760 votes so far. Let's see if we can get 1,000 answers before we check it out.
Someone too is asking about the 10% rule for Hogue. That's if you have a target percent of it, you take that off and claim a full profit target.
A full profit target. I was a little shy of my 10% rule when I got out of my short, but so far I'm glad I did.
Yeah, you covered somewhere in the 30s, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be getting out here. Most likely 5 points, $100. I should have listened to you immediately on killed at that. I was a point away, 1.25 points, I think, away from getting killed at the bottom. And it just chucked on without me. And I thought for a second, maybe, but no.
Hence the reason for the 10% rule.
I know. I would have enjoyed those extra 10 points that I would have gotten out of it, but 5 points I will take, $100 for 0 effort and 3 points of actual downside. It's fine with me.
A plus is a
Life
plus.
goes on.
And then we pumped right back up to that level. So I would have gotten stopped out either way. So on to the next.
Okay, so yeah, the S&Ps, we've taken out those single TPOs. The TPO point of control is right in the middle of the range. It's really lining up to be a range bound day. I'm glad I'm out of that short. I'm going to stay patient and focus on the extremes. NASDAQ has come off a little bit stronger than the S&Ps. I mean,
yeah, I agree with that statement.
There's two distributions of time and volume that have been created where the S&Ps are more range bound. NASDAQ, not so much.
So like on my the 22 range chart is looking pretty solid here. In my opinion, for longs as of right now. I like the way we're consolidating value area low. Deltas has looked good since the 20 test. Even there, we got what? We tipped into the 20s. We got 29 and a half without a whole lot of sellers on that little push to the downside. Buyers stepped up immediately. Like this looks pretty solid to crack 50 in my opinion.
So we got the results of that poll. 69% have said yes. Watching Topstep TV has improved your strategy. 30% said no. 30% that said no. What can we do better? I'm kind of wondering, and you can always send us feedback.
I think they're just here for the vibes.
For the vibes. There you go.
There's a wick test on the 5-minute chart on the ES. Okay, let me pull it up so we can
all right, I got to see this.
talk about the wick test. I got to find my ES chart.
You gotta.
It's been a while since I pulled up the ES.
Looking for the right contract.
Oh, I don't. I probably don't have the right contract on, honestly.
Well, this looks promising.
Show rollover.
Yeah, you're on Dece. You're good.
Okay. Oh, this is why. Let me change my. It's been so long. I haven't even traded it on this account. Trade.
Hi there. I expanded the screen so I can see his charts, and I just look back and there's big us.
Oh yeah, I have to this.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So in the S&Ps, if we're going to execute anything here, we are definitely diddling in the middle. Look at this. NASDAQ's a whole different story. It's so funny how they're so different. Middle of the range bound probably activity. My focus is up here, and my other focus is down here. Anywhere in the middle, not interested. NASDAQ got that long line of single TPOs. NASDAQ is weaker. Delta is negative 2,800 in the day session alone, Matt, in the NASDAQ. That's pretty deep delta. When you get a chance, I'm wondering if you'll see any kind of divergence down here.
On the NAS or the S&P?
NASDAQ. But but go ahead. I want to see the
I gotta figure out
the wick test here.
Here's the thing, guys. I'm about to sound like an idiot, and that's okay.
Here's the thing. Always
Here's
love
the
that.
thing. Yeah. I use Sierra Chart, and Sierra Chart is extremely complicated. And one of my moderators has given me my Sierra Chart customized on a silver platter. And I love him for that. But when it comes time to actually like change something in here, it gets dicey very quickly. So like, again, I haven't looked at the ES in so long. About to just have to message him to get him to change my symbols, because I'm on the I'm not on CME ES symbols. I'm on Denali ES symbols.
If there's something that I can do, here's the 5-minute chart.
Okay, yeah, we'll just look at it on yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a very good wick test, but it is a wick test. Here, one second. He just messaged me. Edit tab, translate symbols. Oh my god, I was so close. I was so close. I tried everything but that. Dang it. Oh, there it is. Okay.
There's so many platforms. Nobody's an expert on all of them.
Yeah, except this guy. Shout out to Gary.
You need that guy. We have a guy like that here, Robert. Robert's our
Coach Robert.
expert.
Okay, everything's it's just getting caught up real quick. I love Sierra Chart, but it is a absolute. It's amazing once it's set up, and it is such a beast.
Just set up.
Yeah, and to change anything on it is crazy, and like their support is like notorious for being
snippy.
Yes, extremely snippy in their forums. They'll straight up just call you stupid.
Well, that's helpful. That's another reason, Topstep, we have excellent customer service, excellent trader service here.
They will not call you stupid without cause. No, just cause.
It's just loading all the data for this contract real quick.
And so I always feel like, when that's happening, I should like juggle or something to just kind of keep myself entertained. And
yeah, I just go back to floating through space.
If I could juggle, that would be kind of cool, but no, I can't juggle. What is your hat?
69% long on the tilt, which is kind of interesting. Hasn't been that high since the open.
What's your hat?
My hat is Snake River Farms, American Wagyu. Wagyu? That's
cool. Wagyu beef.
Yeah. Snake River Farms is sick.
He's a friend of mine on the trading floor. He was from Hawaii. He got a degree in tropical agriculture. Guess what he's growing? But he moved to Chicago and he was a broker in the S&P pit, and his badge was SRF, surf, because he was from Hawaii. He was a big surfer.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just it's like you can get their steak shipped to your door and they come frozen, but like most like really nice steakhouses will have a Snake River Farm steak or something. They're out of Idaho, I think. Very tasty ribeyes if you like a ribeye.
Who doesn't like a ribeye?
And you pay for it, but they are worth it if you can grill. Okay, I don't really see a good wick test here, to be honest. That was a lot of work for a whole lot of not the best, but
that was good. That's good stuff.
Here we go. So basically the wick test is when you have a candle that has we'll use this as an example, this big red candle here. Let me pull it over so you can see better on the normal people. Okay. So you have the big red candle, right? The prior candle had a little wick here at 47. Right? And so a 47 wick, a nice move up, and then I call it an impulse move down. So like a really strong, very strong candle, right? You closed, like you didn't close in the middle to where you have a lot of downside wick. It's like the candle was super strong. We closed heavy.
At the low.
At the lows, exactly. On the next candle, what I would like to see is a push back up to test this prior wick. And then put an order there or front run it by a tick or something. And then a lot of times it will flush immediately. And so the risk is very tight. You can either have the risk be on a brand new candle or just give it like a point or two. So like if we break the highs, you're out, or you give it a couple points if you want to be a little bit more aggressive. You're targeting the prior wick and you're looking for a move to the downside. And it works both ways. So like if we had a downside candle, let's see if we can find one.
Always look left.
Right.
No, left.
So like this would work. Yeah, I mean, this is a very tiny one, but for the sake of the example, we'll use it. So you have this candle right here, right? You have a top side wick, you have a downside wick. Next candle opens up. This is on the overnight session, so it looks like it wasn't crazy. But strong close, very strong candle, right? Next candle opens, you test the prior wick, and this one ran it by a tick. So you go back down for a tick. Looks like there were some other wicks here, and then it pushes out of it. That's the wick test for me. It's very simple.
Very cool.
It's very simple. It takes not a lot of effort to like understand the concepts. It's very easy to identify.
Sure.
The rules are simple. You have entry at the prior wick, stop at either a low, like you sweep the lows of the candle, or even tighter than that, and then you look for either like your average true range for the candles movement like recently, or something that makes sense. And then typically you don't want a whole lot. If it tests it twice, it's invalidated. So it's only the first test of the wick, first test of the last test.
Okay.
And it's only the candle right next to it. So you might see wick tests where it's like, oh, it's going to test it finally, and it's like 5 candles later. That to me does not count. It has to be the very next bar after the strong close. Yeah.
Okay.
So very set, defined rules. Happens honestly all the time. And it's a cheap trade. It's a cheap trade that plays often, which is fun.
I am a huge fan of cheap trades.
Right. Or at least, and if it's not necessarily cheap, like sometimes a wick test might be on a 50-point NASDAQ candle, and I want to see it retrace 50% or more, or excuse me, 50% or less. So like if the wick is like 75% of the candle, that's fine. 50% is money. So like if it retraced 25 points, like you still have 25 points of downside movement, but it's worth it a lot of times. You're going to get like 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much for pointing that out.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to the chat for bringing it up. But we'll point it out. And again, that's another concept. There's not a whole lot of brand new concepts in trading, as we all know. There's a million people who have talked about that in different terms. So that's my way of trading it, understanding it. It's just something I've noticed with price action over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something you learned, or something you came up on your own?
It's something I came up with on my own, and then I learned after the fact that there are several different people that use something very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I just learned about it just from watching charts and being like, wow, this happens often, that we have this like very strong close and then it immediately flushes down, like it immediately sweeps lower, but then it pushes way higher. Like, why is that? And
then you look at that on a 5-minute chart. Does it kind of seem to work on longer time frames?
So 5-minute and daily are the two that I like it on. So like that 40 level on the daily on the NAS, that would be Friday's high. Would have been a nice wick test. And it's still technically on the table as potential. It's just as the time frame opens up, the risk opens up, right? In some capacity, a lot of times. So just because the moves are bigger. So on a 5-minute, the moves are typically a little smaller. 1 minute, it doesn't honor it a ton, in my opinion. But the 5-minute, it tends to honor it a lot, and the risk is pretty tight. Whereas on the daily, you're going to see it play on the daily. I mean, look at this one, right? So you have this nice wick. We closed the next day on, I can't see what day that is, but nice strong close. And then the next day comes down, we go back down, we test 60s. It looks like it missed it by, 5 points or something, but it was literally the low of the session. And then we pushed up, and that was a god tier entry from
close enough, right?
Yeah. So that's the wick test. That's how I like it. This is a great example, honestly, right here. So you see it on the daily. I like it on the 5-minute because I like to scalp more than a long-term trade. But if I see it on the daily and it lines up with either a ton of volume or a crazy divergence or something like that, like I'm taking that all day.
Cool.
Yeah.
In about 15 minutes, we got Mick joining us to do the shoulder tap. We'll see what the funded traders are doing today. Besides that, we're doing Deanna's coming on a little bit later to trade with Hogue, and I believe JD. Coach Paul is at noon, and we're going to do top quiz today at 11:45 or thereabouts. I'll be with Alyssa for that. Once Mick's on, I will send out those codes for the winners of Top Quiz the last 2 days. I have it now, so
Okay.
I will do that.
Awesome. All right. Well, it seems like we've got a little bit of time here. Matt, I can show you this.
Yeah, let's see it. The gold stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
So this is a spreadsheet that I really try and keep up. I'm sometimes not that good about it, but it's just basically, I mean, this is from 2022. This is the February of 2022. It's one of the more stark examples of volume of open interest and delta directing price. Okay, so this spreadsheet just basically has the date, the contract month, volume, total open interest of all of the contracts that are available, the net change in the open interest, the closing price, the net change in closing price, regular trading hour delta, and value area direction. That's all that I put on here. So when we start to see here on the 4th of February, we're losing open interest. There's no real direction. I mean, we see the market kind of continuing to move higher on lower volume, lower open interest, blah, blah, blah. That's not really going to help us. On the 7th of February, open interest started to rise, price rose on negative delta. Well, if we look day over day, we see open interest increasing on negative delta.
Mm-hmm.
That's telling us that longer time frame traders are accumulating longs against shorter time frame traders. So when we start here, basically on the 4th, we're at 1807. Look at all this negative delta. I mean, for two weeks plus straight, the longer time frame buyers are accumulating longs against shorter time frame traders. We're already at $100 move.
Right.
Okay, now we take a little bit off. The price waffles a little bit. Then we end up seeing open interest increasing again on positive delta. This is the short time frame laggard longs getting in. By the time we're through with this, we're up at 2043. It's more than a $20 move. Look at this on the chart.
Wow.
So there are times when I do this and I'm like, why do I keep doing this? I don't see anything. It doesn't help me with anything. But, back in February of 22, if I was trading gold, and I think I kind of was, at the very least, Matt, this would have been telling me, well, we got open interest increasing with price increasing on negative delta. The last thing I want to freaking do is short this market.
Right.
So you got to think, not only what do we want to do? Well, we want to profit from it, but what we don't want to do is fight it.
Right.
And that was a $200 move,
Just straight up vertical
in a month.
Yeah. Do you track this for S&P and NAS, or do you just do it for gold? Yeah.
Yes.
You do it for crude?
Yes.
Wow. So you do it across the board.
Right. And like I said, it's a labor of love.
Right.
I hate doing it because it can be, it can be weeks or months before it really points something out. But when it points something out, you better pay attention to it.
Yeah. I mean, it pays for itself all the time, it seems. Either saving you money by not doing something stupid or, getting you into a move that's going to be crazy.
Yes.
Interesting.
And I'm really good. Like, it'll be my New Year's resolution. Okay, I'm going to do this every day. I'm not going to miss a day. If I take some time off, I'm going to go back and get that information and I'm going to put it all in there. Yeah. And I'm going to be great about it. And then usually sometime around July when I, take some time off, I come back and I'm like, screw it.
Right.
I think we're all guilty of that.
Right?
Pardon?
You could probably automate the collection of that data.
You probably could if you were smart, and I'm not.
Yeah. You gotta get someone over here, Topstep, to automate that for you.
Easy. Hogue having stuff in a spreadsheet is a good start.
Right?
Like I'm proud of Hogue on that one.
That's very interesting, though. I like it. I would love to see that on the NAS. I don't follow gold enough to like truly know what that looks like. I mean, obviously, I saw that little bit of the chart.
Right.
So, like on this move, are you tracking it for the last 3 weeks here or whatever?
I have not been, although on my notes every morning I've got the estimated open interest.
Okay.
And I can see the delta on my charts, so I can just go back and look at delta.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a real good divergence in the S&Ps here lately.
I mean, it's just such a savage move on the NASDAQ. It's like, love to.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, I can show this. I can bring this up. Here we go. So I can go back day over day in my notes. But I mean, yesterday was congruent delta. Today, congruent delta.
Right.
This day was a little bit of a divergence. We did end up closing higher than we opened with negative delta. Now, what was the open interest on the 17th? Open interest on the 17th, we lost 700. So we actually lost open interest on a delta divergent day. Short covering.
Where are you getting open interest data from?
For now, I get it from. They're changing the access to it.
Okay.
Yeah, the beginning of the year, of course.
Right.
But here's where I get it. So you get it's cmegroup.com daily bulletin. Now, beginning Monday, January 8th, settlement data will no longer be accessible through this.
Some classic CME stuff right there.
Right. I don't know what they're going to charge for it, whatever it is, but let's say we're going to gold, metals. So we go here. Here's gold. Now, gold is pretty good for the open interest information, because most of the open interest is always going to be in the front month, right? We're in rollover, so we're going to be moving to the February contract. Look at the open interest, 224,000. We got 191 here, so the volume is still in the Ds, so we're still trading the Ds. That makes this all a little bit blurry because I collect the totals down here, right? So we added 1,150. Yesterday, and that is the final. There's two different versions of this. The one that I get at 6 o'clock in the morning when I sit down is preliminary, and it's an estimated number. Okay. So the estimate was positive 3,200. It actually came up plus 1,150. Okay. But when I'm looking at like something like crude oil, this is the final, but when we look at this, look at all the open interest out into the future.
Right. I would imagine crude would be crazy on.
It's a hard read when you're doing that, when you're using open interest.
Because crude is such a actively traded, like settled commodity, right? Like people care about that.
Yeah,
gas traders do, or oil traders, I guess.
You look at the January contract has 340,000. Well, how about the December 26th?
Right,
27,000. I mean, there's so much open interest out into the future in this; it makes it difficult to read.
Yeah,
and mostly the equities are pretty good about that too. I mean, we're coming into rollover in the equities, but the vast majority of the open interest is always in the front month.
Yeah.
We got 42,000 in the March because we will be starting to roll over. Makes it a lot more clear.
Right. Do you trade rollover week?
I try not to.
Yeah.
It's probably a kind of a bias from being on the trading floor because outright traders, a lot of them took 2 weeks of rollover off. But if you were working the spread and you work in the back month, that was your money. Was that 2 weeks of rollover?
Right.
So most of the outright traders were probably struggling or taking time off during rollover.
Yeah.
I don't like rollover.
I don't either. It's a very hard month for me to trade, or weeks for me to trade, excuse me. Especially because like I'm utilizing volume and delta so much that when those things are split,
Yes,
the pain. It's like a
Yes.
big pain.
it makes it very difficult to use that information
Right.
for anything. I mean, it gets so blurry.
Yeah. Like super blurry. So I don't like it, but I typically watch it and just try and passively trade. I don't know.
So
Well, you got your wick test, and you've got the other named trade that shall remain unnamed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that one is the one that's like, well, I guess the 80-20 one that's unnamed.
There's another one. Yeah.
Yeah. The other one that's like impossible to trade though on rollover. The delta divergence is impossible to trade on. It's very not good on rollover is the thing.
Right.
So like it's the problem is that you'll see it a lot because everything is split. And so you'll see a delta divergence all the time, but it's like never actually hits because it's literally split between two contracts.
Right. So you got one divergent and one convergent.
Right. And I will only ever watch whatever has got the most volume because that's how I work. And so I'm not good at watching two contracts at once and trying to trade and figure out which one's doing what. I just want to trade whatever's got the most volume and roll over with everybody else,
Right.
So it makes that week every quarter or whatever. I typically try and go out of town or something. I don't like it.
Kind of makes your eyes kind of split in different directions, like
yeah. So I've always been curious how people trade it who are not me. That's part of the reason why I'm liking this so much is because it's like I don't know. It's nice to hear other people's thoughts on situations like that, and
yeah. So before we get Mick in here, I was thinking if we don't kill our computer right now, doing the hot streaks real quick. So
Sure.
I'll do the tap on the table because I don't have any sound effects. Might take a while. The computer is probably dying in the background.
Hey, success.
Eric, 27. That makes him the new leader if Massimiliano never trades again. Fan H, Gregory K, Joel R, Anthony L. Congrats to all.
Nice
We're having
work.
the hottest of hot streaks.
Yeah.
these guys.
Love those hot streaks and the fact that they are taking a little bit every day. Those, they're not huge, profits. Just profits are good, right?
So somebody mentioned in the comments too, they kind of pooched. We had to have an update on what was going on with Snoop Dogg. Let's see if the computer's still.
The solo stove is such a good play, honestly.
We were convinced. Let's make sure that our internet's back up to speed here. This was the dumbest possible, I feel like, outcome of this. I thought for sure, I had a poll in here that was like, is this quitting smoking thing for a Super Bowl commercial? Like, is he selling edibles? But then when it came out 2 days later for like a smokeless stove, I was like, wow, that's a lot of juice for a lot of nothing.
It's a smokeless fire pit, right?
Yeah. Which they still smoke. All of my experience with a solo stove, you still get smoke. So I don't know.
He can only do that once.
All right.
Right? He can only once go out and say, I've given him a smoke. If he does it again, it's not going to work, right? I thought for sure it had to be like some huge edibles deal or something like that. Really quick. I'm sure they did pay him well. People in the comments, if you're in the industry, is there a lot of money in smokeless fire pits? What even is it? Matt?
Yeah, Topstep's a public company. You can go see their financials. There is a lot of money in it.
Yikes. Okay, I will have to check that out.
Yeah, it's definitely a trendy product, also. So
Yeah, I see a lot of folks with them. I kind of know. I kind of like my dirty old fire pit.
yeah, I'm an old school fire pit guy for sure. The solar stuff doesn't give off a lot of heat, either, because it's all kind of channeling upward.
It all kind of pushes it up.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey guys, it was fun. I'll see y'all next Tuesday. I'm gonna hop off here.
All right, Matt's got to go. Matt, thanks for coming by. We'll let you go do
Cheers.
your thing.
Good luck on rest of y'all's trading sessions, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Certainly
Matt,
shall.
thanks for sharing everything. Thanks for sharing the wick test and the 80/20s and the other one.
Right. Yeah. Well, you'll hear me talk about it more. So if we see him, I'll talk about it more. Appreciate the open interest stuff too. It's interesting with Delta. So
all right.
Yeah.
Good.
Godspeed, Matt.
see ya.
All right. Have a good one.